We are live. Welcome everybody
All right.
to another ACL recap. New beginning, new season. First time with cross play. We got new teams, new league actually. Got a PlayStation, PC, and Xbox. I got Chris with me today.
Yep. What's up?
Yeah. What do you think so far of the league? If,
It's
from the admin point of view.
yeah. I mean, the admin side, haven't had to bust too many people about stats. D2 is, kind of setting the standard, so I appreciate that. D3 doing pretty good. A lot of these teams are brand new, which is, it's nice to welcome them in. And the sooner they get up to speed here, the sooner, they'll be able to hopefully climb up the divisions. So yeah, it's gone off pretty well so far. So can't really complain. What do you think?
Yeah. When I saw the D2 had done stats, I was like, damn. That's a first. Like every
I
D2 team did
know.
their stats on time.
On the first game night.
On the first game night too. Like that's crazy. And I think the first night was kind of a little bit hectic, but honestly, I think it's more on the game than the people. I know
Oh
we had a
yeah,
lot of people had to like reset lobbies a lot, resend. So it's things that are out of our
yeah,
control.
yeah. It's only so much the game will allow us to do. So if it happens, just keep fighting through and be patient. That's all you can really say.
Yeah, because we really can't control the game as long as you're communicating with the teams that you're playing with. It
Yeah,
usually works itself out.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we got a couple of topics to talk about today. We'll talk about uh, all our divisions, how they're doing. We're going to talk about the tournament from this weekend. Just go over a few things we learned from doing it. Being the first time trying to run a tournament like that. Bring up AVL again. That's starting up soon.
yeah,
And just
absolutely.
trying to get feedback, what people thought about just the league and the tournament itself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right
so
on.
let's get into the first topic, which will be our divisions. Let me make sure I got the right. Yeah, so we got D3. Starting off with that D3 division, 23 teams battling it out for a chance to go to D2. I don't know if
Yeah,
you
after
recognize many of these teams, but a lot of these teams are newer, so it'd be tough. But yeah, we had four teams go, perfect the first night. So that's good to see, a lot of competition.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know it's only two games, and obviously you kind of work your way up and down the schedule. But I mean, that's four teams there that have gotten two wins, and then there's three other teams that have no losses, but one win, one draw. So, maybe there's already, even after two games, a little crazy to say, but maybe there is, a little bit of that cream rising to the top. Or, maybe I'm wrong. And maybe it's just, you got lucky and played just like a bad opposition and you just kind of rolled them and maybe you haven't played anyone actually good yet. So, who's to say? I think that's going to be determined with some more games. So
Yeah, so looking on the top eight, um, Cuchillo Locos FC, I've seen their team and they got a familiar name, so I'm not really shocked. Cochima, again, same thing. I believe they're like a Venezuelan team that are pretty good. So not surprised there. Dojo's a new team, so I'm a little there. Cappy, I believe it's a group of friends that used to play in either D2, D1. So
all the
that's
Ecuadorians. Yep.
yeah. So and then Chefs, Beck Community, Unleashed, Atletico Junior, both all four of those teams are new. So they're putting in a fight, and even those 9 through 16. I mean, their difference is like goal differential.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
it's gonna be a tough battle. I think it's exciting, especially with only 8 spots for playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean, even you look back in that 9 and 16 spot, like you mentioned. I mean, there's a handful of teams that have played before. Bad Mofo's, they were a former D2 team a while ago. Imperium was a D2 season, a D2 team as of like last season. Wolves FC was a former, I believe, a former West team. Chosen in 20th, they were a former D2 team. So I mean, there's a lot of tenure here, but maybe it just wasn't their night. Maybe they couldn't get the right players on, or still just kind of kind of experimenting, but you only play everyone once here, so you kind of got to figure it out quickly, and hopefully you start cranking out results.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how this it turns out, especially like you said, everybody playing once.
Yeah.
All right. I don't. Do you see any surprises so far?
Um, Not a ton of surprises. I mean, I'm not I'm not super familiar on what the Xbox names are. Off the top of my head, I don't really see any that are super like sticking out to me. So maybe the Xbox teams were saying a lot of stuff and not really backing it up. But again, it's the first game night, so who really knows? Any surprises that you saw?
I say Dojo being top
Yeah,
three. I mean, not that they're bad, or I'm not judging teams. Like I'm just saying they're newer, so for them to
yeah,
be already top
agreed.
three is it's really good for them.
Yeah, agreed.
Right. We're gonna move along to D2, where everybody wants to be.
Exactly.
D2 is again another super competitive, 28 teams. So for 8 spots, I know that's a lot of people are unhappy about that. But again, we're trying to be as competitive as possible, and also we have goals of when we want to finish everything up. But by the looks of it, everybody's everybody's still in it, or at least putting in fights. So it's gonna be a long season for D2, and it's gonna be interesting if any of those top 8 teams lose momentum.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this now, I mean, if I was in Paris, I believe that's the
Xbox team. Chris is having technical difficulties. But yeah, I'll speak on it. Fellas in Paris is an Xbox team. They started off again undefeated in the first 2 games. Deportivo Lara have a history of being D1
a team
D2
that
team.
got promoted. Yeah, Xbox team that got promoted.
Yeah, they won the D2 promotion tournament. They won one of the spots. So yeah, definitely showing that they deserve to be up there. Chronic Crew and Geo Raptors, Arcade Tiger, ACL Vikings, all are former teams. Indy 2, again, they're still fighting for spots. Pass the Ball, again, also won a spot from the tournament. And Los Pibes, I believe they were a top team last year, just couldn't make it through the playoffs. And then again,
Yeah,
9 through 21 it's I mean 1 point plus goal differential. So it's gonna be a lot of moving at the top. It's gonna be interesting to see.
yeah. Any surprises that you see? I think I've got a few of my own to list, but I'm curious to see what your thoughts are there.
Um, Surprises. I would say there. 37th chamber maybe 2 points.
Yep.
I mean 2 draws. I mean that's good. But I mean they were really good during the ACL Cup. So I don't know. Maybe I thought they might have a little same thing as Dallas Burn. They had a good ACL Cup. So maybe they're just needing a little more time.
Yeah,
Trijarcitos is a good team. And then Dream FC is another Xbox team that's still fighting to get top 8. But from the top 8, uh, basically everybody looks like they are there where they need to be. I mean, Chat Raptors is a surprise, definitely. I mean, I'm happy they're playing good. Uh, Pass the Ball is also a good team. So, who do
yeah.
you have?
Also, you mentioned 37th Chamber. That's a real surprise to me. Dallas Burn. I believe both of them made knockout stages in the ACO Cup last season.
Yeah,
Invictus, I kind of expected them to be a little bit up there. Same with SWFC and Super Saiyans. But one, I guess, more of a positive spin. ROK Tiger. They've been kind of middling in D2, and after 2 games, they've won both. So, I hope that they can keep that momentum up. I think, maybe new game, maybe this is their time to, maybe fight out of it and get their way into D1. So, to ROK Tiger, if any of people are watching, great job. Keep it up.
yeah. And then the chat saying Invictus Esport. So, like you said, yeah, that's a
Yeah.
surprising team. But again, it's early. It just
It's
takes
still
it takes
plenty early.
one game day to flip the table. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and even looking like at the even like at the top goal scorers, there's a lot of names here that I would recognize, right? You have Jim Brown 19, who was the former, maybe even current manager of the Trinidad team for IVPA. Nick Tigre, I've seen Albibe Fran, Atomic Flea. I've seen those guys. Frumty as well. I've seen as well on the goal side. On the assist side, who have I seen here? Pibe again, and Alan Maigano, 05. Both of those guys I've seen before. So those guys are going to kind of be like the talisman to kind of hopefully keep their team in that top 8 playoff slot. I mean, you've got 20 odd teams, almost 30, and you need to kind of get in that top 8 to really kind of make a name for yourself. So we'll see how those guys keep up, and hopefully they keep up the good. Hopefully they keep up the good form going on through the season.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there is a few surprises in the top 8, so let's see if they can keep that run. Chronic Crew. I remember them from last year. They were also, I think they were a playoff team, or at least close to being a playoff team. So I know
Yeah,
they're experienced in D2, so maybe that's gonna help them out this year because they've been there, so they know what to do.
yeah,
But yeah, it's gonna be close. I mean, like, again, everybody plays once. You gotta take advantage of your home games and try to get points on the road.
exactly. Yeah,
All right, so let's push on to D1, D2 West. Just to mention, is starting this week, so we'll have that next week. But they will be starting this season, this week, their first round of games. So definitely excited for that. It's been a long time since we've had a D2 West. We're hoping to grow that as we get more teams into the league.
and it's equally as impressive too that even though we have like this supersized West with 20 odd teams, right? I mean, that we're still able to have a D2 West, and that definitely wasn't the case, a couple of seasons back where we maybe had 15, 16 teams just in D1 alone. Now you've got 22, 23 teams plus a D2 West.
Yeah,
So,
that's
it's a
definitely,
great sign.
yeah, that's definitely surprising. Like, we had close to 30 plus teams in D2 in West, which that's like double what we had last year. So
Agreed. Yeah.
yeah, we're definitely growing West. So we'll see next season if we have new teams come through. Hopefully, we'll start taking applications probably mid-November.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely interesting to have a D2 West, and we'll have that up next week.
Yeah.
Let's talking about West. We're gonna start off with D1 West. 22 teams here. I think we had one drop off last minute.
Yep.
But what are your thoughts on this? I know just to clarify, there's some teams that did have some issues in West crossing with FMVP, so they might have gave forfeits. I mean, there's
Yeah.
nothing. Yeah, like there's
Yeah.
nothing we can do about that. We tried to work out a thing with them, but I mean, there's not really much we can do about it. So
Yeah.
unfortunate, but we move on.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully for them, they're not going to miss too many games. The time switches here, about a week and a half. So that's good. Like teams like MTX Toys, I know are obviously impacted. Most of their team is from Mexico. Um, that's really the big one that I can think of. But kind of speaking on the rest of West, Melendros, no surprise really. GW, no surprise. Melendros was the former Anonymous 11 last season, led
West,
by Oreo. So
West finalists too,
yeah, West finalist, Oreo still banging in the goals. Seems like GW, they've been around for, I mean, forever at this point.
under new management
Toxic,
though. Gorilla is under new management, so definitely thing
interesting.
to watch out.
Who are they under now? I know Gucci left, but
Yeah, Gucci left. I'm not really sure what their manager's name is, but I believe he's new to Gorilla Warfare. Or
yeah, they still have
yeah, I
they
think
still
that's their
have
core, but yeah, he's a new
yeah, they've still
manager.
got they've still got Mexican Matrix and they've still got Dosto as well. So I mean, I can't imagine them having too much of an issue.
Yeah,
Shouldn't be too much of a change. I know Dosto was gone for a few seasons, but it's good to see him back. One of my favorite people to deal with in the community. So he's always, always someone that gives me a nice little smile. So, but yeah, speaking of D1 West on top of GW and Malandros, I think the big one is sorry, I just lost my connection here. The
uh,
big one is Renegade and Villains in 6 and 7. Both teams won. The Villains had been gone from ACL for I want to say probably maybe a FIFA at this point, FIFA and a half. Renegade, wasn't really a team that was kind of on many teams' radars. 2 wins to start out, so hopefully both of those teams can keep it up. Hopefully Ramirez gets to his top form and stays that way, and hopefully Renegade can kind of keep the train going.
Yeah, and then FGF looks like they're back to being a top contending team. Last year they missed out playoffs, I think, by one spot. But yeah, it's good to see them back. Footballers was another team that was in ACL Cup, and they made a decent impression. I don't remember if they made it out to the knockout stages, but I believe if I remember correctly, they were in a group that had
I think they
three.
were in the group of death.
Yeah, I think they were in the most hated and
Showtime
Showtime
and
group,
the
and
Vicious and the Punishers group. I mean,
yep,
it's four
yep. So
teams.
it was four teams that they battled it out. Me and Don watched a lot of their games, and I think at the end it came down to footballers either having to win a game to move on, and it was impossible. But yeah, they made a good impression in ACL Cup, so this is their first time playing, so it's good to see them doing good. The Copa Boys, I believe that's former El Diablo
Yep.
as well as former Olympus kind of mixture.
Yep. Yeah, Cliff and Cleo and the other people. So
Yeah, and then we have there's a small gap between that. I was gonna say 15, but it's like that 12 through 9 is it's pretty tight, and then everybody else is either 1 point or no points. But
yeah.
who are you seeing in that list of 9 through 22? That's surprising.
Famous is probably the most apparent one. I kind of expected them to do, a little bit better than 1 point, especially given the matches they had. But maybe the game can be weird. Sometimes it just doesn't work out for them. Cerro Technica as well. I kind of expect them to be a little bit better, led by Chamuco. But really beyond that, I mean, no surprises besides 8 undefeated teams with no draws or no losses in West. 9 total with no losses. That is insane. Given that there's 22 teams and there's still 8 that are completely undefeated with no draws or anything after 2 games.
Yeah. And then there's like I believe MTX Boys, Playboy X, and iBots were Xbox team. Oh, two or three of them are Xbox teams, but I believe they had to give forfeits for FMVP, so they will be back this week. So they
Yeah,
might be making a push. Aztec, I believe Wet was out, but he's back, so hopefully he can right the ship. I know them boys over there sometimes lack leadership once Sweat leaves, so hopefully he can right the ship. I know Wet takes this thing serious, and he's gonna turn that ship around.
yeah,
Untouchables is vicious, formerly vicious.
yep.
So, can't count them out yet. It's 2 games. We'll see if they can turn that around in this week.
Yeah, another team to look at is Bingus, formerly Squadra, formerly Toda San Ho. I mean, there's just a lot of mixing around of names, but that's Temi's team. He is currently the top scorer in West. You can't really count them out. I mean, that team is consistently good every year and is usually a lock to make the semifinals in West, if not more. So I obviously, maybe they played a hard game, but I fully expect them to turn around and kind of start running the table here soon, especially with Temi keeps scoring goals like he is now.
Yeah, definitely. They're a team that has former glory, so they definitely could try to ride on that. And we never know with the next 4 games. This table might be completely different next week. So
Very
we'll
true.
see how it goes. Any final thoughts on this side?
Um, no, not really. I mean, just crazy again how many just undefeated teams there are. I really didn't expect that, and I'm excited to see how West kind of plays out. I mean, it seems like it's just wide open this season, and anybody can take it. So
Yeah, definitely. And that'll be interesting. It's gonna be an interesting season. 21
yeah,
games, 19 left. So we'll see how it goes. All right, let's change over to D1 East again. One of the most competitive sides that we have. 23 teams. What are your first thoughts when you look at this table?
I mean, where do you start? I mean, you look right in the top one. I don't think anyone in the community ever would have guessed the collective would be top of the group with no goals allowed after 2 games. Obviously they're pipping out PFC, Holix, Lethal, in Viva, the Xbox team on goal difference. But I mean, I don't think anyone would have expected them to go undefeated in 2 games. Fatal Intent is a little bit surprising. Lucretus in 15th is a little bit surprising. Most hated in 18th with 1 point is incredibly surprising. Rare Footage, you heard a lot about them in the offseason. They are 22nd. Iconic in last as well. No goals, no wins. I don't think anyone would have expected this D1 table to look the way it does after 2 games. And then this is just insane. Obviously, Prolific and Holics, Lethal, 3 really good teams there. No surprise that they are obviously at the top of their game. But I mean, there is just beyond that, there is just a whole lot of weird movement going on this table. So, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, see, what I thought about it is that there's a couple teams in D1 East that tend to have a slow start. I've noticed, and then they turn it around in the second half.
That's
The,
very
the
true.
problem is there is no second half. It's one game against everybody. So you got 22 games. So either you
Yeah,
turn it on now or you can fall behind really quickly, especially with so many teams. I am shocked with, like you said, Rare Footage and Iconic being last. I don't think that's gonna last very long. At least
no,
I'm from the Iconic side. I know them very well, and I know that they'll turn that ship around soon. Most hated again, surprised that they're there with 1 point. And like you said, Collective FC, yeah, that's a shocker for a lot of people. But again, they're a team that's been playing together for a while, and once you start building that chemistry, you kind of tend to start turning it around. They've been in D1 for several seasons now. Like that's the thing that like don't people don't understand about ACL D1 is it's these teams have been here for a while. Like it is hard fought. If you want to stay up here, you have to play your best every day. Because I
that's
mean,
true.
like if you look at the list, Collective, Prolific, Holix, Lethal, Paris, Fatal, Cracks Nation, Nemesis, Lacritas, they've all been there for a long time. So now with the introduction of newer teams, it's going to be interesting if they can fend them off like they've been doing from previous seasons.
That's
Especially with
true.
especially with five dropping, that's a lot of teams. So we'll
Yeah,
see how they do. Good for Viva football. I see. I know they were one of the teams that were mentioned to be really good from the Xbox sides. They're definitely up there now, fifth.
yeah.
Phoenix was another team from the Xbox sides, and then Average Pros. They're they're still in it. So again, this table's gonna look completely different next week once these teams figure it out.
That's true. And the last really word I have to say about Collective is that team lives and dies by their defense. I mean, that defensive core has been around for, I mean, probably at least 3 or 4 FIFAs at this point, or 3 or 4 game cycles. And I mean, they are just, they're locked in. I mean, you call them a bust, call them, boring or whatever. If they're not allowing goals, then that's not their problem. That's just the way they play the game. So, I mean, those guys are locked in, day out, and there is no such thing as an easy goal against that team.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing when you're in D1 and you're playing just one game, you have to lock in on defense first before you can attack. And I mean that's their
Sure.
specialty. So maybe this FIFA, I mean this season might benefit them the most because
Yeah.
they do lock in on defense.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, Trying to see, but yeah, I'm seeing a lot of surprises. Like you said, Lacritas and 15th. I think they're going through some changes, but I feel like they'll turn that around soon. But
That's
yeah,
true. And you look at, I guess where the less of the surprises if you look in the leaderboards. I mean, the top goal scorers, they have Jerry Meza, who is one of the top scorers in the ACL Cup.
mm,
RxG Caesar is always up there. Harold is up there. Braun is up there. Exabit is always, up there from Prolific, formerly of El Mariasa. Kind of moving on into the assist side, Peluche has been there. Um, Amani Bates, Tofsky, if he plays in an attacking role, usually he's up there. Andres Wortley from Paris. Um, really good, just a lot of tenure there, a lot of experience, and a whole lot of skill.
yep, definitely gonna be a good battle in all five divisions this year. Six if you count D2 West. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, five total. Never mind. But any last thoughts on any of these teams and groups, or I mean divisions?
Uh, Not much. I'm just curious to see when it comes to next week how much of a change is there. You know, will collective stay in first? Will there still be like 7 or 8 teams undefeated in West? You know, well, how will D2 look? How will D3 look? You know, now that you start like the good teams start playing the good teams, and you know maybe there's just some easy opponents and you know easy games. So you know, obviously it's so early in the season, but maybe this is a good litmus test of you know how your teams are going to shake out during the season.
Definitely. All right. Let's move on to. I'm just gonna put up the ACL logo because I don't have any more slides. So yes. So what's up is today this weekend or on Saturday we hosted our first ACL Relampago Flash, whatever you want to call it, BYOT, like the Xbox teams want to call it. I know you helped do a lot of the adminning for that. So what were your thoughts of the tournament?
Yeah, you know, it was really good. I appreciate the people that signed up. For one, I mean, we had 33 teams at one point. Obviously, had a few dropouts, but it's kind of be you know to be expected. You know, things happen, life happens. You know, maybe you can't get players on. So the turnout was exceptional. You know, big props to our admin team as well as the NAPC people, namely Walmart Lot Lizard Wally for short. Obviously, you probably know him because he's usually the guy that runs all the tournaments. You know, thanks to him for promoting it as well. But, you know, it was obviously a little bit shaky to start out with, kind of getting the schedules together, getting the team set up on the site, getting everything rolling. But I mean, after that first game, and once everyone kind of figured out where to look and where to talk to people, I think it ended up being really smooth. I mean, the games were done right around 12 Eastern. So, I mean, you started at 9:30 Eastern.
You cut off, but yeah, I think one of the things that a lot of people were complaining about was the time, and again, it was
Maybe
our
2.5 hours.
yeah.
So that was
I think he's still getting cut off, but yeah. So the time was just a decision that we made at the time. At that moment was I know we had a couple of people tell us that they wanted an earlier tournament. I mean, some people want late tournaments. I mean, at the end of the day, we can't really make everybody happy. Like we did our first tournament at 9:30. We finished around 12:30, like he said. So we're still tinkering with the time, the format. We just wanted to see what it would look like if we ran one. We're potentially looking at running it at least once a week, either Saturday or Sunday. And yeah, we'll still work on the times. I know that was an issue. We try to use the VPN site to keep track of stuff, but it's not the greatest. So we might look into different sites on there. Yeah, like you said, we had 32 teams, I think, total signed up. Two dropped out last minute, which again is something that we can't really control. We're gonna have to work on some things, but again, we'll try again maybe this weekend. See if we can get another one going. Maybe 30 minutes later. Maybe do it at 10. We'll probably ask the community see what time they prefer. Because again, we're just trying to make it a tournament for that everybody can play. I know some people want to play really late. Some people want to play early. So it's like you can't. It's impossible to make people happy.
It's true. You just got to try to catch the majority of the people that you can. So I mean, you know, no harm there. So
Yeah, and even for that 9:30, I mean, 32 teams for 9:30 tournament is pretty decent.
agreed. Yeah.
And I
Now
think,
on or go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, so I think that's the number that we're gonna keep it at, like 32 teams, just because I feel like a lot of people don't want to stay up till 2, 3 in the morning playing. So 32 teams seems like a good number.
Yeah. Now onto the tournament itself. You know, we had our winners, Viva Football. They are a D1 team led by Andresi, who I believe was formerly of the PSN community for a while, and then switched to Xbox. He brought a lot of his people back over. It was an all Xbox final, KMX versus Viva, and Marvel was the only PlayStation team in the final four. Virtual Talent rounded out the semifinals. You know, really just a good tournament, a lot of good ball played. But yeah, power to the Xbox players on that one. So, you know, if we run this again next week, hopefully some of these PSN teams show up and maybe defend the PSN versus Xbox argument.
Yeah, definitely we can do that. I think we had about like an even number of teams from both councils too.
Yeah.
Definitely have to look and see on the playoffs if we want to do move it up to 16 instead of 8. Again, it was it was our first time doing it, so we went with 8. Was it the right decision? I don't know. I mean, can't make everybody happy, but we'll look into that. And again, feedback from the community is what we need. We need people to tell us if that's good or not. Because at the end of the day, we're just testing things out to see what's best for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you catch any surprises from the tournament? I was trying to look at it, and I saw a couple teams that I was like, "Dang, they got pretty far." Considering,
Um, yeah, and this KMX team really just kind of came out of nowhere. I expected Most Hated and Fatal to go a little bit further, but maybe they didn't have, their full-on players, or maybe they were split between teams. Really, those were kind of the only surprises that I had on my end for it.
yeah. So looking at the groups, I see that La Familia made it out of Group 5. They had a decent team group. And like you said, Fatal was another one that made it out. Most Hated was also a team that made it. So we had a couple PlayStation representatives, but again, Xbox teams prevailed. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's definitely it was definitely fun, and it's definitely something that we'll look to keep doing. It's something we've always wanted to do, but we've always trying to tinkering with time and other things that wouldn't allow us to do it. And we just push people to the NAPC because they run great tournaments with Wally. But thanks to them, we were able to ask them for that slot on Saturday sometimes. So we'll try again, maybe this weekend. Like I said, we'll check on some availability of admins to run it
yeah,
again.
oh,
And
yeah,
then I think that's all we have, except for the last thing is AVL. We're still taking teams. I believe we have 4 teams left: Colorado Rapids, Red Bull, St. Louis, and I want to say Vancouver are the last 4 teams. That season starts November November 6th,
yeah, November, yeah,
and
November 6th.
and it's at 11 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Wednesday. If anybody's interested, contact admin. We'll send you the form. We're taking payments now. It's 45
Yep.
for entry. I believe we set the prize to be $1,000. So again, anybody interested in winning $1,000, this might be the tournament for you. It's a different day, so ACL and AVL now we have Monday through Thursday covered, and then potentially Saturday Relampagos. But you got anything about AVL you want to share?
Yeah, don't really have much left. It's going to be exciting, and it's nice to have it on the off ACL days as well. So, I mean, if you're looking to play, FMVP after the time change, Lena, if that's running, any sort of Tuesday, Thursday league that is between East and West, that gives you the freedom to do so. And, it's like a premier time slot, 8 p.m. Pacific for the West people, nice and late for them, 11 p.m. Eastern, right after VPGA for the East guys. It's kind of the best of both worlds. And I think that's always been a drawing point for AVL. So, hopefully we see a lot of the guys come out and just have more good ball played there as well.
Yeah, I know some people asked to bring it back to Tuesday and Thursdays, but out of respect for our fellow, VPN leagues, we try not to cross with them too much. So like between ACL East and ACL West, we have VPN Venezuela starting up soon, I believe. Their Discord is in our Discord if anybody's interested in that. They run a very good league. And then I think Lena's coming up too. So it's like we try not to interfere with each other if we can.
Yeah,
And that's about it for this episode, I believe. Unless you got anything else, Chris?
I've got nothing. If you've got anything that you need done admin wise, just hit in contact admin if you're looking to do an AVL team. Same thing. Or maybe if you're a manager on this and you're hearing this and you're like, hey, maybe I can join in and maybe say my 2 cents about my team or something like that. Let us know. Maybe we'll explore the possibility of taking in guests. You know, anything that you might have to say that can help us improve, these streams or whatever. Let us know.
Yeah, and also on the tournament stuff, if you guys have feedback, please let us know. Times, the format. Potentially, we'll have prize tournaments soon. Hopefully, we're looking into that as well. But yeah, any ideas for tournaments that you guys might think are good, let us know, and we'll talk about it and see what we can do. But that will conclude the episode. Appreciate everybody coming through, and we'll be back next week.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Peace.
Peace out.